In keeping with my recent theme, I wanted to give a review of another survival game. This time, a positive review, just to show I'm not always so cynical and negative. And this one is an absolute masterclass in creating interesting gameplay scenarios. And that game is Subnautica. So let's get started. The crafting system in Subnautica is one of its greatest assets, if not its absolute greatest asset. Now, the system for crafting in this game is constantly providing you with new options in how to interact with the game, new choices in how to solve the many problems that the game poses you with, and finally, new reasons to swim out into the absolutely terrifying unknown. The most important thing about a crafting system is that it be genuinely rewarding to the player. I'm not naming any names, but there is one game in particular recently that violates this design tenet. This is, however, where Subnautica excels. For the first 15 hours or so of the game, your crafting will be mostly focused on items such as handheld tools, mobility upgrades, and eventually base building. The interesting thing about these handheld tools is that they provide completely new gameplay options in most cases. The laser cutter allows you to cut your way into underwater wreckage to scavenge for blueprints. The scanner allows you to scan items unfamiliar to you so you can learn how to create them. And the welder allows you to pass through doors with damage controls, and the list goes on. The reason these are so remarkable is because these tools break the paradigm set by other recent survival games. Usually, a tool in a survival game is just some stupid new mining pick that can break harder shit than the last mining pick that you had. But the tools of Subnautica open whole new avenues of play. On top of this, even the base building carries with it additional layers of complexity beyond what you usually find in your standard survival game. Your bases, which require power to operate, can and will serve as diving platforms, but not in that Rodney Dangerfield Triple Lindy kind of way, but in that the Abyss kind of way. The bases you build serve as a means to expand your exploration to new depths that were unreachable without a nearby air supply. Eventually, you also get to the point where you are building submersible vehicles, which serve a similar function to bases. More versatile in some ways, but more limited in others. Now, what does this have to do with crafting, you might be asking? Well, you may remember, at a point in the recent past, there was a talk by a very Pinocchio-like individual about spaceships functioning and handling differently. In some game, I can't remember. This is actually the case in Subnautica. At present, there are only 3 different vehicle types, but they are all legitimately serving a completely different function. Beyond this, specialization, upgrades, and a moderate degree of customization further vary the gameplay options on offer by these vehicles even further. And, speaking of gameplay options, the beauty of the items and vehicles in Subnautica is that a lot of them can be used in combination with one another to do all sorts of different things, both intended and probably unintended. This is another of the game's major strengths. Now, I don't want to share too many examples of these synergies, as I believe it's truly worth experiencing for yourself, but I will divulge one or two. Now, the game allows you to create this deployable tool called a grab sphere, and it's just a little blue soccer ball looking thing that shoots out bolts of electricity to hold things in place. I figured this was to keep mined items from rolling down a cliff or something, or maybe to assist in catching fish, but by complete accident I discovered I could chain them together like a fence and use them to slow down predators in an area I was gathering, or I could place them around volcanic thermal vents to constantly be trapping and cooking fish. And this is just one example. I even discovered that the exosuit you can build in the game, which is one of the 3 vehicles, has a grappling hook attachment, and usually this is meant to be used to grapple onto walls or things so that you could mine in areas where you normally could not climb or jump to. But I discovered I could use it to latch on to predators that had been attacking me outside of my suit and keep them from getting away while I murdered them with my exosuit's drill or claw or whatever. And again, these are just a few examples, but the game is absolutely rife with interesting options like these, and these really incentivize creative play and make for some seriously interesting scenarios. And interesting scenarios like this are what make a person like me gravitate towards a game, because few and far between are the games that allow you to really play how you want and flex your creativity through the use of the game's mechanics. But anyways, speaking of interesting scenarios, This is going to be the most subjective category by far, so much so that I really debated even including it at all, but the topic is just too interesting to ignore. The topic being, this game made me feel such a broad range of emotions so consistently that I can't help but talk about it. Now, when I say feel emotions, I don't mean like they added a dog to the game just to kill it and ruin my year. I mean the exploration and my engagement in the mechanics made me feel so many different things while playing that I can only imagine this is how people who actually leave their houses feel. There were moments exploring the depths where I was running low on oxygen, the sun went down, and I was plunged into complete subterranean darkness. My only company was the sound of the predators, whom I could hear but not see, while I was scrambling to find a way out of the cave or cavern to get up to the surface. Now these moments made my butt clench so hard, I very easily could have converted coal into diamonds en masse. But cheek clenching fear is far from the only thing that this game will make you feel. There were moments of absolute elation when I discovered a secret cavern or a shipwreck that I'd worked for an hour to get into had contained a blueprint for a new tool I could really use. There were even moments when the beauty of what I was seeing left me truly slack-jawed, and as somebody who plays most of his games on a high-end PC, that is not a common occurrence for me. I guess what it comes down to is this. I picked up Subnautica because No Man's Sky had given me a craving for a survival game and ultimately left me unsatisfied. So Subnautica was ultimately an impulse purchase more than anything else. I never bought it expecting it to deliver one of the most memorable experiences I've had in gaming in quite some time, and truth be told, it is not a perfect game. It has some optimization issues, it has significant bugs, and it's early access on top of both of those things, which I have serious misgivings about. I even personally experienced some bugs that caused a relatively significant loss of progress. That's reason enough to steer plenty of people away from the game, and usually I would be one of them. But the fact of the matter is that the whole package the game offered was so compelling to me that even with minor issues and bugs, I was back to it sooner rather than later, in hours rather than days. And that is the experience that really drove me to make these last two videos. Not the cynicism I felt playing No Man's Sky, but the renewed interest I felt playing Subnautica. It has been an interesting few weeks to be sure. It's taken me to both ends of the spectrum. I played one game that left me jaded and apathetic, but then another game shortly after that reminded me why, above all other media there is out there for me to consume, I choose games. And with that, I just wanted to wrap up and really thank all the people that have made it through both of my videos here, and the people that gave me positive comments and feedback on my last video. It means a lot to me, especially the people that shared my video and got it out there and got me exposure. That means so much to me, you cannot possibly know. So thank you for doing that, and anybody who does that in the future, again, thank you. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So thank you for making it through both of my videos. I have more content coming on the way. This time I'm going to keep it a little close to the chest until it's ready to put out there, but it should be out there pretty soon. So I hope to see you there. And again, just thank you for watching.